This better not be about feminism. Well, Zachary Thompson, brother, I got some bad news for you, brother.
That's bait.
So I thought it'd be fun to try a little something different today. We're going to be looking at some half-star Letterboxd reviews. Not even 1 star, but half-star. And there's somehow a difference. So we're just gonna look at them, react to them, comment on them, and yeah, let's just get right into it. Saw it 3 times, and every time I went to go see it, I would fall asleep and leave when I wake up. 0.25 out of 5. Okay, first of all, this is half a star, so it would be 0.5 out of 5. Let's get things straight here. And also, like, why would you see it 3 times if you fell asleep 1 time and the second time? That's what I wonder. I don't know, maybe it's Zendaya. Maybe these people have a personal vendetta against Zendaya. I'd believe it. The worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. It was Sir Connor Murphy was the only who was bearable. I love you, and they were both fucking horrible. They're horrible people. It's just emotionally abusing Connor Murphy. I had to sit there 2 hours. Connor Murphy had a kid. You are a freak. The end. Typed with voice. I think that's the perfect end I could have ever thought of if I wrote this. So I think the pattern I've been seeing with the negative reviews for this is that there's queer baiting. I mean, I don't think they were queer just so they could throw queer characters in there. I think they were queer because, you know, that was kind of the point of Zendaya, like, getting them together. Zendaya kind of manipulates the 2 guys to get into each other, but there's still like little bits of queer themes throughout the movie, and the whole point of the movie, I thought, was that Zendaya was kind of the puppet master behind the whole thing and their relationship. Yeah, anyway, the funniest thing about this movie is that his grandchildren watch this. Can you imagine watching a pretentious movie about your grandfather where he has mediocre sex with Florence Pugh? So yeah, I mean, that's pretty valid. I wouldn't really want to watch my grandfather doing anything with Florence Pugh or any other actor, I guess. I didn't even watch, but my GF said it was lame. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I can't really argue that either. Someone said it was something, then it must be true. This better not be about feminism. Well, Zachary Thompson, brother, I got some bad news for you, brother. I can't even explain how bad is this movie. I like how it starts as like a statement, but then it kind of like turns into a question at the end. I mean, they're right. I mean, they can't explain how bad the movie is, so they just don't. This is the equivalent of China making a movie about Hawaii. I mean, yeah, I guess Hawaii is the Barbie of China, I guess. I've been sitting here trying to think of a good retort for this, but I think that's just so funny. I'm gonna have to.
Everybody ready?
I'm gonna go kill an endangered owl because of this movie. Well, I think that's the Zack Snyder effect. You either are engorged in his content, or he just invokes certain measures of hatred inside you. And I think those are the 2 sides of the Zack Snyder spectrum.
Her name is Ruby Elvis, and I think she's kind of acting like Elvis with what she's f***ing saying.
Does Elvis have bad movie takes?
I don't know. Elvis is dead. He never got to see Guardians of Gahul.
Yeah, that's a tragedy.
He never got to listen to Owl City.
We're like, Owl Shitty.
I hope you choke.
Most overrated trash in the history of cinema. Stole from Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, and sold any soul it had to Disney. Well, I think at least for the last bit, it's not really a gripe for the 1977 Star Wars. Just gonna put that out there. I think everyone can agree with that. Sorry, this movie is so boring. I was literally falling asleep. No character development at all. Literally just shooting and fighting the entire time. Watched this movie after the prequels, which were fucking amazing, but this movie sucks. Yeah, it was non-stop action except for this scene. And this scene. And this scene. And this was actually unbearable. It was all the worst aspects of Phantom Menace mashed together with all the worst aspects of Attack of the Clones, with the added bonus of having a predetermined ending that leaves no room for narrative satisfaction. Doesn't have anything interesting about it. I found none of the sequences remotely good or enjoyable. A film, I think, with genuinely 0 redeeming values. Astounding. Well, I think I should definitely put it out. No one is forced to like any movie, but if you ask me. I'm not really sure what the worst aspects of Phantom Menace they were talking about are, because I mean the worst aspects of that were obviously
I love you!
and I mean, of course, you don't have to find any of the sequences good or enjoyable, but it's hard to find someone that doesn't like the Mustafar duel or the General Grievous duel, so, you know, just putting that out there, that out there. Flora. Nauseating style, subpar substance, if any, rides on the effects, and that's basically it. Spielberg's certainly one of the most annoying directors, and the fact his movies were popular did irreparable damage to Hollywood. I just want to know what they think is annoying about Steven Spielberg. Like, what specifically? Is it because he makes such good movies, he's just so annoying? That must be it.
That is one big pile of shit.
Archaeologists. I mean, yeah, I think that's the main gist out of the movie. I mean, they really did cause everything, so that's valid. That's totally valid. Pixar tried to remake the Emoji Movie, but failed miserably. From Emoji Movie Fan 6. Oh, that's another one that I just can't really argue with. Obviously, the Emoji Movie was the first computer animated movie, not Toy Story, so... Not enough Mark Wahlberg from Not Enough Mark user. There's quite a few gimmick accounts on Toy Story for some reason, but this Not Enough Mark Wahlberg guy, he really has something going for him. This is arguably the worst sequel ever made. It recycles the original plot almost entirely. They even introduce another Buzz Lightyear just to replay his realization that he's a toy. It was nice to see Woody's legacy, but then it gets almost completely forgotten in all the movies that follow. Only good thing really was the introduction of Jessie, one of the series' best characters. So wait, how does it recycle the original plot? Because it like doesn't at all? I can't really think of many other plot parallels between that and the first movie. Like, Woody goes on another journey of some sort of self-discovery. Is it the self-discovery aspect? I really have no idea what they're talking about here. And like, why does it have to be a diss that the movies after this one don't focus on Woody's legacy? If they did, then they'd just be copying Toy Story 2. Like, they don't like repetition, but they also want repetition? I don't get that. Half a star, it's shit because of two things. They had a furry as the main villain, and two, why the did they have to add an evil baby? It's just like my other side of the family. Okay, I like that this review kind of goes beyond the movie and goes into the story of the reviewer. The whole world wants to gaslight me into thinking this movie is cute, but I just can't do that, knowing that if you ran your hand through Linguini's hair once, it would come out covered in rat shit. Yeah, I mean, they don't really cover how Remy defecates and pisses in Ratatouille, so what else would he do? Like, if Linguini was working like an 8-hour shift, there's no way that he wouldn't have to crap. And if he's like up in his hat the whole time, you know, if you put 2 and 2 together, it makes sense. So I agree with this review. It's totally valid. Have attempted to watch this multiple times, fell asleep or turned it off long before the halfway mark could be cut in half, and still wouldn't affect anything too much. Love Sean Bean, but even he couldn't make me sit through this shit. Well, I have some bad news for you regarding the other half of the movie and Sean Bean. Well, I know not everyone is a Lord of the Rings fan, and that's totally valid. Lord of the Rings is one of those things where, at least in the movies as well, all of the plot points, I feel, are integral to the whole story. So I feel like if you were to cut something out, it definitely would not benefit the movie in any way whatsoever. But I hope this person gets to finish the other half of this movie so they can see what happens to Sean Bean. A very long film for a story that is not easy to understand, mixed with horrible visual effects, wizards who barely use magic, characters that are poorly introduced and poorly contextualized. Just the perfect recipe for a bad adaptation. Wow. Like, especially for Bilbo. Has gotta be one of the most interesting character introductions, like, oh, it's his 111th birthday, and then, like, he disappears, and then you find out about the ring that way. I feel like that's a really cool way to introduce a character, personally. I'm also not too sure what they mean by horrible visual effects, because I'm pretty sure the visual effects were kind of like the highlight of Lord of the Rings, you know, just saying. What would you rate Lord of the Rings, Howell? 10 out of 10?
The
fitness gram piece.
Okay, this next one is for the best Pixar movie of all time. No, it's not Ratatouille. I have to rewatch this movie every few years to remember how god-awful it is. I vividly remember seeing it in theaters with my brothers when it was released and has remained #1 on my worst movie list ever since. What? Why does this movie make disabled cars getting exploited the villains? Well, clearly you know nothing, because it's all about